The meeting is now live. Chair Regima, please proceed.
Thank you, Trish. Welcome to the Community Services and Infrastructure Committee meeting tonight. We have no delegations this evening for the Community Services and Infrastructure Committee. First item on the agenda is 8.2 and 8.3, the consent agenda. We are now considering the consent agenda, which includes the Active Transportation Citizen Advisory Committee minutes of February 27th, 2020, and the Public Works Project Update Report for the third quarter of 2020. Would any member like to remove any one of these items from the consent agenda to discuss? Okay, I do have Madam Mayor. So go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Madam Chair, just for some clarification, I do want to talk about transportation, road safety, and traffic movement, and I believe that is in the report this evening. So, in order to talk about that one item, we would have to pull the whole report. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? Through you to Madam Clerk.
Sorry, Mayor Easton, are you speaking about the truck report?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, under item 8.4, we do have the truck safety update, and that I think would be an appropriate time to discuss that.
Yes, thank you very much.
To the point.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. My apologies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have Councillor Pachariva's hand up as also.
Thanks, Chairman Shima. Yeah, I had some questions with respect to Public Works project update, but you know what? If no one else has them, I can just send them to staff.
Well, to be honest, I have a couple of questions myself. So if you want to pull it, then
let's pull it then.
Let's pull it. Let's do it. So. So it's lifted if you want to go first, Councillor Pachariva.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Chairman Chima. I've got a bunch of stars here. First one, I guess, would be Lincoln Avenue. So the road construction there, which is project number 39. I received a text today from a resident. We received an email about the water main being broken. Again, this is for the fourth time. So this resident, I'm living over here with cars, trucks, dozers, dust, garbage, gravel, screws in my tires, people parking out front of our house early in the morning. Bell line's been cut 4 times. Hydrometer tore off my neighbor's house. How are we addressing these residents' concerns? Is this a bad contractor, or what's taking place here?
Okay, Councillor Pachariva, I'm going to direct your question through to Director Graham.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you through Madam Chair to the councillor. Well, I mean, I guess related to the water main works, we are replacing the old water main. It's in bad shape. It's been subject to breaks, and when the contractor works near that water main and disturbs ground, it is breaking unplanned. So that has been a problem. I think what we do is when that occurs, we try our best to respond as fast as we can to get the water main fixed. We do, go to the doors and let people know that, we've got an emergency water main break. Water will be either reduced in pressure or shut down for a certain period of time, and we try and get that fixed in a timely fashion. It's not really any fault of the contractors. It's just the water main is old and vibrations near that pipe, it does cause it to break, unfortunately. And Councillor, some of the other questions that you, or the other comments that you raised or situations, I'm not 100% sure on all of those, but you know, what we do is when we become aware of any resident concern like that, we definitely will follow up on that to make sure it gets addressed to minimize, you know, the impact to residents. You know, we do appreciate that construction is an impact to residents on the street in this in any construction project, and specifically with this location, Lincoln Avenue. So we do appreciate everyone's patience when these things do happen. I don't know if that helps or not, but
Well,
if you have any specific matters, if you know, forward them to our attention, and we'll try and you know, look into those immediately.
Yeah, I understand that, but you know what? To me, and maybe I'm wrong, but construction reminds me of like when you leave a park. You leave it better than when you got there. And it just seems that there is very little regard for the residents. If we know that this old water main is going to break because of vibrations, why wouldn't we proactively had said to the residents, hey, you know what? This might happen, rather than these, you know, they're running out with the you know, fire hose and boots and trying to put out a fire that's already been going on. Like we just need to be better in how we communicate these things, not only to the residents, but our expectation to these contractors, that there's rules in place, follow the rules. And that way you limit the impacts on the residents that are already facing upheaval for months on end. And it's these little things that put them over the end, or put them over the edge, I mean.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pachariva. I think we'll take that as direction to staff to look into implementing, you know, in times like this, a higher level of communication in advance of some of these construction projects, if that's what is indeed necessary.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Pachariva. Do you have any other questions? I know you said you had a couple.
I do. So I've got, so right underneath project number 40, Rittenhouse Road. I know we had a lengthy discussion back through active transportation. I noticed this hasn't even been tendered yet. So, you know, there was and I hearken back to the concerns from the ward councilors about getting this out and getting this done. Well, we're May, June, July, we're 6 months and nothing's happened. So.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pachariva. I know that Director Graham and I spoke about this not too long ago, and he told me a little bit about what's going on with that. So I'll turn it over to Director Graham to provide further information.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. So as an update on Rittenhouse Road, you're absolutely right. It is something that, you know, we've been trying to get ready to tender. And we wanted to, you know, as we've been preparing our construction contract, looking at our permits and what we need for that, we've been talking to Conservation Authority in terms of our work permits. And what's come to light is that the Conservation Authority has just recently completed some new floodplain mapping. And there's a creek that crosses Rittenhouse Road. And what the Conservation Authority is recommending is that we upsize the culvert that goes under the road to better accommodate the floodplain, which is something that, you know, we do want to do, which is important to do when we're looking at climate change and having the lens of climate change on our project. So when we have to upsize a culvert, what happens is we have to go through an EA process, a municipal class schedule B EA process, because we are changing the condition. We're not just replacing a culvert, which is like for like or similar size. We're actually going to be upsizing the culvert, which triggers an EA process. So what that basically looks like is that we have to do a public consultation. And again, this is just to remind everybody, this is just for the culvert under Rittenhouse Road. The entire road construction project, the much bigger part of that project, is completed. It's construction ready, if you will. But the culvert part of that project, we have to do a class environmental assessment. And really what that looks like is we share with the public through consultation what we want to do, what we are proposing to do. And we present a couple options on what that work looks like. And we ask for the public's comment on that. And once we go through that process and complete that Schedule B EA, then we can proceed with upsizing the culvert. So that is currently what we're going to be doing in terms of a project update as it relates to Rittenhouse Road.
Councillor Patriva, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers my question. It's just, I mean, if we're going out to do a public consultation, I saw it as an opportunity to address the Active Transportations Committee's recommendation of the cycle path. So, and we didn't want to go out to do consultations at that time because we didn't want the project to be delayed, but the project is delayed. So there's an opportunity there that's waiting. My next one would be Elizabeth Street. And I know Councillor Brunet and myself have fielded a lot of questions about issues with sidewalks and driveways and as such. So wondering how we are in addressing those as I saw the one sidewalk at the corner of William and Elizabeth that the panel's been taken out. So that will be fixed because it was sinking, but wondering how we're making out with that because progress, it says complete, but it's not complete. There's deficiencies that need to be addressed. So wondering where we are on that, if I may. Through you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Councillor Patriva, and that's 3 questions. So after this, I'm going to move on to Councillor
I'm good.
Mikulak and-
That's okay.
Is that
I'll come
everything?
back.
Okay.
I might come back in later.
Okay, so is that a question for Director
Director
Graham?
Graham. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. So as it relates to Elizabeth Street project, so we're currently looking at correcting any deficiencies that have come to light throughout the project. The project is basically at its 1-year warranty period. So what we're doing right now is we're looking at all the deficiencies or any work that needs to be repaired. The contractors are repairing any of those works, like you noted, the sidewalk work. There are some driveway deficiencies, etc. So that work will be occurring over the next month, rectifying any deficiencies before we accept the final project works. We're also going to be looking at doing the boulevard tree pilot planting. That will also be occurring likely in October for an update on Elizabeth Street.
Okay, does that answer your questions, Councillor Patriva? Where did he go? Okay, so he's muted. So I have Trish. Who's next? Is it Councillor Mikulak or Councillor McPherson?
Chair Regina, it's Councillor Mikulak.
Go ahead, Councillor Mikulak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Director Dave Graham. Just last time we had this update, I brought up a concern with regards to the 21st Street Bailey Bridge maintenance and repair. I noted that I can't. It was the Jordan end of that bridge had started making noise. It was noisy, and then I drove over it today, and the whole bridge is noisy. It almost, it's possible that it sounds worse than it did before the welding or the repairs were made. So I'm just wondering if we're going to follow up with the contractor and see what can be done about that? Like I feel it's no better than it was before, but I'm not sure how we as a municipality and you know, is there a warranty period similar to roads? So I don't know if you've noticed that or if you've heard any from staff.
Director Graham?
Thank you. Through Madam Chair to the councillor. So absolutely, we'll follow up on that. I know welding was done earlier this year, and you know, we can we'll take another look to make sure something hasn't cracked or there's, you know, not more work that needs to be done or whatnot. So we definitely will follow up on that, councillor. I don't know, Walter Newbauer, our manager of engineering, he's here tonight too. I don't know if he has anything more to add to that specific situation, but we'll definitely follow up on that.
I would appreciate that just
Okay.
rather than later, because you know, to the warranty period. I'm sure if it's a 30-day, 90-day, or taillight warranty, so I want to make sure it's done within a year. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I see Walter's hand up. Go ahead, Walter.
Through you, Chair, to the councillor. Yes, we've been out multiple times this year, working on the welds with our contractor. The last time we checked, we also have a consultant on board that is evaluating the work and approving the work. It is something that we've been struggling with over the last number of years with the bridge, just improving it every year. You'll notice that we budget money to come out and fix it. At some point in time, we will have to evaluate potentially replacing the bridge.
Appreciate that, Walter. Thank you. Does that answer your question, Councillor Mikulik?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, Councillor McPherson, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll be very quick. Always pleased to see this report and the updates. The one comment I would make is very nice to see on the Green Lane reconstruction design that the next step is to review the design plans with the AT committee, because I feel that this is the time to talk to them versus when we're too far down that design road and we can't accommodate some of the AT requests. So very good to see that. My question is around the Red Maple Ave storm sewer construction. And in here, the next step is prepared to respond with storm sewer construction work based on developers' timing.
What project number is that, Councillor?
That is project number 11.
Okay, thank you.
And I wonder what that means, how that works, if through to Director Graham or to Walter, if they would comment on waiting on the developer's timing.
I'm trying to see, is it Director Graham? Do you want to answer
Sure.
that question?
Yes.
Okay.
Through Madam Chair to the councillor. So what the situation is the Phelps development on Red Maple. For them to develop the land, they need a proper stormwater outlet for their site. And so what the town has been doing, we've tried to we want to be prepared and ready so that when the developers timelines are such that they're ready to go to that stage, that we're ready to respond to do the storm sewer construction works that is required to provide the proper stormwater outlet for their development. So, depending on their timing, that'll be when we'll do the work. So, but our main objective right now is to be prepared so that, when they decide that they're going to start their site works, we're ready to do the storm sewer works concurrently.
So, Madam Chair, I'm not sure that helps me. So the Red Maple, the whole storm sewer, does it not have to happen prior to the developer starting construction?
Through Madam Chair to the councillor. Yes, I mean, they might be able to do some site works, but we definitely have to do the storm sewer works, in advance or at the same time. So it's really a matter of finding out from the developer when they want to do their site works. And my understanding is they're not ready to do that yet.
Okay, okay. So it's not going to happen unless the developer is ready to go. So the folks on Red Maple are not going to get a new storm sewer until the developer is ready to go. Is that the way we're doing it?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, because the work will be phased. So, the storm sewer work is one component for the development to be able to start. And then the intent is once the development works are finished, there's going to be a lot of development works with their site developments and their building works. The intent is the town would then come back and reconstruct Red Maple and Bridgeport and Queen Victoria and upgrade those roads at that time.
So if I can interrupt you, Dave, sorry, but that's all very great information. My question is more, we've got water issues down there that we're challenged with. I know the pumping station is part of that. We know there's an EA public meeting coming in September. And I'm just questioning why we would wait for the developer if it's going to improve things for the current residents there, why we would have to sit on waiting. I understand the whole road construction piece, that we don't want to be, fixing roads and putting curbs up and all that prior to the developer finishing their work. But the storm sewer, I just question why we would wait.
Through you, Madam Chair, if I may. Good question on this, Councillor. I think, maybe one part I'll add too is this storm sewer works is related to the development. Obviously, we said that in a development agreement. So we still have to, finalize that with the developer. There is cost sharing involved with the developer to help pay for the storm sewer works. So we still have to work through that as well, as part of the developer's development agreement, site plan agreement. There's cost sharing that has to be finalized. So we still have to work through that before we're ready to do the storm sewer works. So I guess maybe one way to look at it is the developer, is a part of this in terms of their agreements. And there's still things to be worked out with cost sharing, et cetera, before we can actually put the storm sewer in.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McPherson.
Regina,
Yes.
sorry, I have to interrupt. As per the town's procedural bylaw, in order to extend the meeting past 10 p.m., I have to call for a 2/3 vote. I'm now going to call the vote. Please unmute your mics.
Thank you, Trish.
Councillor Thank you. Councillor Brunei. Oh, you're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Mikulik.
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva.
Yes.
Councillor Reimer.
Yes.
Councillor Rajima.
Yes.
Councillor Russell.
Yes.
Councillor Timmers.
Yes.
Mayor Easton.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Sorry for interrupting, Chair Rajima.
Thank you, Trish. Councillor Timmers, you're next.
Thank you very much, Chair Regina. Through you to Mr. Graham. Not a question, just a comment regarding Rittenhouse Road. It is what it is. The Conservation Authority has been doing some mapping, and the road reconstruction design is already complete. So all we're going to wait on is the culvert. So I don't really have any questions on that other than I'll move on to the Lakeshore Road east of Martin. I'm just curious, what's the status and condition of the road now? I haven't been down there for a long time, and I'm just curious how it will be throughout the winter coming.
Director Graham?
Yep, through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. I know the surface of the road is in good shape. We did some repaving works through that area as a result of our damage repairs in our grant program. So, you know, the road is you know, in good shape in that regards. You know, what this study is really looking at is our, you know, our longer term, more permanent shoreline protection plan that we need to implement in that area.
Okay, I was just curious. I haven't been down for a while and I wasn't sure what the status of the road was. And just, I see the Heritage Village Stormwater Management Pond is going to be cleaned out very soon, and some public information going out to the residents. I just want to remind you that there are a lot of fish in that pond. Perhaps some giant koi fish. I made a promise to remind you. So when you clean it out, Dave, I don't know what you're going to do with it, but
Thank you, Councillor Timmers.
thank you.
Is that everything? Yeah. Councillor Brunet, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the director. Question with regards to Project 38. I think it's timely as we're going to be talking about this truck safety update next. During the transportation master plan, we identified that one of the major things that we needed to do was to get trucks out of our downtown core and move it over possibly to Bartlett. That means a major intersection improvement at Mountain Street. I'm just wondering, it says here issue RFP early Q4. I'm just wondering, Director Graham, if you could maybe enlighten council as to the length of this implementation study. I mean, we know that the transportation master plan went over 2 years. I'm hoping that this study is going to be shorter, and just wondering if you could update us on that project.
Thank you, Councillor Brunet. Director Graham?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. So just for everybody's background or reminder on this very important project. So our transportation master plan, you know, one of the most important recommendations, we had many recommendations, was how do we reduce trucks from downtown Beamsville? And we want to get them out of downtown Beamsville where we have pedestrians and businesses, and you know, how do we best do that? So the transportation master plan looked at a concept where we would create a bypass, a truck bypass. And what that basically envisions is if you're a truck and you're coming down Mountain Street and you're stopping at King Street, we want to force you to turn right opposed to turning left, because when you turn left, you go through the downtown BIA and then you're turning right on Ontario and you're driving all the way down Ontario. So what we want to do is force trucks to turn right at the intersection of King and Mountain, take trucks along King Street to Bartlett Road, turn, you know, left on Bartlett Road and take trucks down Bartlett Road, which is basically parallel to Ontario Street, to the South Service Road, and then, you know, either to the QEW if that's where the truck is looking to go, or continue down the South Service Road. The bypass also looked at for trucks coming into Beamsville, heading from the Grimsby direction. How do we, you know, get them to detour or bypass before you get into the downtown area of Beamsville? And what was suggested and recommended in the transportation master plan was using Durham Road. So what we would want to do is trucks coming down King Street, Highway 8, let's detour them, bypass them at Durham Road to the South Service Road, and the trucks would travel along the South Service Road to the QEW. So that's the bypass concept. And the implementation study, which is the project number 38, what that's looking at is what do we need to do to implement this bypass concept? So the implementation study, what that's going to look at is what do we need to do to the intersections at Mountain Street and King Street to have trucks turn right? And also all the key intersections, the intersections at Bartlett Road and King Street, South Service Road and Bartlett Road. And it's also going to look at helping us quantify what type of upgrades do we need to do to, let's say, Bartlett Road, because now we're going to put, trucks on Bartlett Road. And so we want to examine that and better quantify, how many trucks are we talking about and what degree of upgrades do we need to do to Bartlett Road if we're going to start detouring or bypassing trucks on that road, and Durham Road as well. So that's really the intent of the study, to give us some direction on how to move forward with implementing it. It's important to note that this study is also partnered with the region. So the region is a 50% partner in funding the study, and also a partner in actually doing the study, because we are detouring and bypassing trucks off regional roads. So we are in partnership with the region to do this study. As an update on the study, on where we are right now, we've developed our draft terms of reference for this implementation study with the region, and we're just finalizing that now, and we're hoping to issue that RFP to the market in the next few weeks so we can get the study started. And we see the study carrying into next year. I think in the terms of reference, we were putting around an April deadline to have this study completed in terms of timing, to kind of give you a bit of an idea on the timing.
So Director Graham, we're a little ahead of schedule then in terms of issuing the RFP. You're expecting to issue it shortly.
Yes.
Okay, that's good news. Councillor Brunet, does that answer your questions? Do you have further questions?
Yes, it does, Madam Chair. Very fulsome response. And I do have one further question.
Okay.
It's with regards to the last chart, through you, Madam Chair, to the Director. And it seems once a year, I ask this question of Director Graham with regards to our sidewalk program. And I seem to get a lot of questions, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls from residents who are always saying every year, I see you've put a bunch of orange paint on my sidewalk in front of my house, but there's never any repairs taking place. I'm wondering, through you, Madam Chair, if the Director could just very shortly, tie up a quick synopsis of our sidewalk program and how it works, and if we've got a tender coming out for those repairs. Like I say, I see a lot of paint, I see a lot of grinding, but I don't see too many repairs being done. I'm wondering if the Director could comment on the actual repairs and how it ties into the whole program. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Graham.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the Councillor. So the orange paint are basically from our inspections. Once a year, we're required by minimum maintenance standards to walk and inspect all of our sidewalks. There's a bunch of criteria that we use to determine a deficiency or a trip hazard. So that's what the orange paint is for. And then from there, we finalize and develop our repair program. I mean, sometimes the orange paint is, we don't always have to fix every orange paint. Sometimes the orange paint is just to identify a deficiency, and it may not exceed the provincial standard to fix it. So maybe that's sometimes why not every orange paint is always fixed immediately. But for the most part, the orange paint identifies a problem area, and then we build our program around that. The program consists of, we do a lot of grinding. So we basically grind trip hazards in-house. And that happens pretty much all year long, from late spring running into the fall. So that's an active program. We also do some minor patching. And then for more of the concrete replacement work, where we're taking out panels and replacing panels, we do contract that work out. We've just recently put an RFQ out for that program We've awarded it to a contractor, so that work will start occurring soon this fall, the concrete repair work. So you can anticipate that will be happening in the next month or so, that program, with the concrete repairs, I should say.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brunei. I don't see any other hands up, so I have a couple of questions, and I think they're going to be fairly quick. There was a question earlier on about Green Lane. So Green Lane, and that being project number, doesn't really have a project number. It's on page 4, the top. What can we expect to see in the 2021 budget? So right now we're going to be next reviewing the design plans as so far as they are with active transportation, and what can we expect to see in the budget that we discuss next?
To you, Madam Chair, what we're looking at for 2021 would be perhaps utility relocation allowances. So any utilities that may be in the way of future roadworks, hydro pole relocation, gas main relocation, that kind of work. We would probably, for at least a phase of Green Lane. And again, we can have this discussion closer to budget or when we maybe discuss the capital plan in more detail. The project would be phased into different phases. It is such a large project. So,
Yeah.
Because we
Okay.
still need to work through the design with other stakeholders, and of course the Active Transportation Committee. We need to take the design to that committee for their input.
Okay, so some of it's kind of up in the air as to exactly what the next step is going to look like there. Okay, thank you. And the other question is that project number 13, the Friesen neighborhood water main replacement. We know that's complete. What can we expect next? Because I know there's going to be works going on in a couple of streets over, and that the finalization of this work is going to be tied in with the other work. So can you highlight that for me, please?
Yeah, Madam Chair. So the the next plan with the whole Friesen neighborhood area in the 2021 budget, staff will be proposing the phase 2 works. So what that is going to encompass is further ductile iron water main replacement on Cedar Brook and Green Meadow. And then what we're going to do as part of the phase 2 works is final paving works from phase 1 in this. So the work that was done this year in phase 1, all the water main replacement works, we're going to be doing road repaving next year as part of that work. So residents can expect anyone who lives in the phase 1 area, Heartwood, Stencil, those streets south of Friesen will be resurfaced, repaved as part of the phase 2 works planned for 2021.
Okay, thank you. I asked that question more for the benefit of residents that are listening. Okay, so I don't see anybody else's hands up. If there are no more questions, I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva that Councillor receive for information the Public Works Project Update Report Q3 2020. Trish, can you call the vote, please?
Thank you, Chair Ajima. Please unmute your mics. Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Mikulik,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Ajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes.
and that motion is carried.
Thank you, Trish. And I have a motion by Councillor Reimer to pass the remaining items on the consent agenda. and that would be the Active Transportation Citizen Advisory Committee minutes of February 27th, 2020.
Thank you, Chair Ajima. Please unmute your mics. Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Mikulik,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Ajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes.
and that motion is carried.
Thank you, Trish. We'll now move on to item 8.4, and it's report PW 1620, truck safety update. And before we discuss, I want to let everyone know that there's been a lot of work, a lot of discussion going on regarding traffic safety generally. A lot of discussion going on, a lot of concern with truck traffic, traffic generally, noise, and general safety on our roads. And I wanted to let everyone know that at the next council meeting, I'll be bringing a notice of motion for the CAO and staff to bring us a report looking at various regional roads and portions thereof, and a timeline for effectively negotiating Lincoln's takeover of those roads or portion thereof in order to improve safety and also economic viability by alleviating inappropriate traffic pressures and better directing traffic flow, particularly through the downtown Beamsville area. We want to not only push these items and make sure that we have a timeline on them, but we also want residents to know that work is getting done. This motion is intended to drive action items that were laid out in the motion that Councillor Brunei and Councillor Timmers brought forward, and will be supported by items recommended by the Transportation Master Plan. Particularly the item that Councillor Brunei asked about earlier on, and that the Director of Public Works outlined for us, and that being the Bartlett Road Beamsville bypass. And the intent is that this motion will hit on at least 3 of the 9 action items in that motion that Councillor Brunei and Councillor Timmers brought forward. Thank you. Are there any questions? Mayor Easton?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I do have quite a few comments about this. Because when this motion was passed in the spring of 2019, the expectations that I had about what was going to happen here were directly related to accountability of council through staff, and that so that we could demonstrate to the public that council was doing absolutely everything within our power to improve the situation. So I'm going to start by changing the language to road safety and traffic movement, because it's no longer just truck safety. And I appreciate your comments, Madam Chair, and I'm very pleased that you're planning to bring that motion forward, because it is having a major impact on our central business districts, not just in Beamsville, but also in Vineland. So the question that I asked Mr. CAO today was, who is the lead on this file? And he told me that it's Walter. And I'm delighted to hear that. And I don't think Walter's with us tonight, but Walter?
Yes.
Yes.
He is yours.
Good.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, Walter, my goal is to bring you into the light with council so that when the public look at this, we're all going to be there together, shoulder to shoulder. And I'm pleased that you are the lead, because I believe that you have all the skills that are necessary to help us work through this. So let me work through this, Madam Chair, if you would please accommodate me. On the first item, item A, I'm not going to read through them. You've all heard them, but I want to remind you, councillors, that the motion on this EA was written at the region in 2013 by Mayor Hodgson of Lincoln and Mayor Bentley of Grimsby. 2013. We're now at 2020. So I think that we should stop talking about this as a passive kind of activity. This is very important that this get done this year. And furthermore, it's going to be 10 years, if not more, before this is finished. So if anything is a motivator for us to do everything that's within our power, it's right in that piece right there. 2013, 7 years.
Madam Mayor, can I just clarify for those listening that that particular item is about the north-south crossing?
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
yes. Good. Yes. All right. The
Thank
next
you.
item is about the elimination and prohibition of all trucks, trailers, tractors on Mountain Street. We wanted all of that activity moved out. So the town did its due diligence. It coordinated. They've had a discussion. They're planning to have another discussion. However, you know, nothing is happening. I mean, this is really the most minimal kind of response. And so, all right, what are the numbers? We haven't seen any numbers. We don't know if it's getting worse or if it's getting better. So I think that we can certainly have higher expectations than that. The next one, item C, is about assuming Mountain Street. So it says here that that the Niagara region, they intend to transfer this when? 20 years from now, 10 years from now, when the new escarpment crossing is implemented. Sorry, not good enough. This needs to happen when Lincoln's Bartlett Road is ready to roll. And it sounds to me like that's 2022. So let's move that on. Now we have item D. We're going to designate Mountain Street as a community safety zone. Madam Chair, a letter tomorrow to the region making that request will be just fine. So if you bring that forward with your motion, I'll be happy. Item E is truck safety inspection blitz. It was conducted on June 23rd, 2020. Well, first of all, we've had more than that. I mean, I have to give Councillor Brunet credit. When he was the chair, he was really quite vociferous about this. However, where are the results? There's more than one. I believe there's 3. Where are the results? Because the results are egregious. For anybody who's watching this, they are egregious. And so we need to be posting this with a great deal of energy. We need to request for more speed informant. Yes, we need to, but we also need to provide positive reinforcement. Every time NRPS District 8 puts a tweet on telling us where they're working, the work they've done, and they do that. They tell us how many tickets they've given. We have to give them positive reinforcements. Resources are very minimal, and we need to give them credit every time they're out there working on our behalf. Scale avoidance. The MTO has confirmed that they patrol for this situation. What does that mean? What have they found? And if they're trying to tell me or any of us that there isn't a problem, I want to see the data. And if there are no problems, fine, where are their reports? But it's unacceptable for there to be no accountability on that at all, and that we just have to accept what they have to say. So results need to be reported. Item G is the transportation master plan. And, you know, we're going to look at the Beamsville truck route bypass, that implementation study at Bartlett Road. That's great. And we know it'll probably be done absolutely complete in 2022. So thank you very much, Mr. Graham. You've done a great job on that. Item number H, the town of Lincoln requests regular safety check, including weighings and inspections through the MTO. Well, you know, I guess most of these organizations that we're at their beck and call, I guess, when it comes to whether or not they get involved, and maybe by their standards they are doing all they can. But you ask our constituents whether or not enough is being done, and I think that we know what the answer to that's going to be. And furthermore, we had the most outrageous situation occur this spring, where we had thousands of trucks come into this community. They were coming up Ontario Street in gangs of 6 and 10. I counted them. Other people who lived in Ontario Street counted them. And there should have been fines. They brought that soil in illegally, and they brought it all through town, up Mountain Street, along Fly Road, no fines, and really no violation. So when we get our site alteration bylaw, which is coming next month, thank you very much, Mr. Bruder, because this is a very heavy duty piece of legislation. Things are going to change in this area. And while we were having this meeting tonight, Port Colborne have just closed down all external trucks coming in to dump soil into one of their pits. So do you know what's going to happen? Grimsby have closed theirs down. West Lincoln closed theirs down. Lincoln is vulnerable. So this is going to be really something to keep our eyes on. The town of Lincoln, item number I, that the town of Lincoln provides support and advocate to the Niagara region for the implementation of specific enforcement measures, traffic safety and cameras, or increased police enforcement. At this point, I think the police are doing all they can for us. I truly believe that. They're quite thin all around the region, and some areas certainly, they get triaged into areas where there are some pretty serious things happening. And so that we have their attention, we just need to give them a lot of positive reinforcement. However, traffic safety cameras, are you aware that the region has already requested, they already want to delay this? And if you read Mayor Tory's report today, and when did they start it? They were very strategic. They started it on the first day of school because they are serious about making change. So we need to keep our eyes on this. And I know that Councillor Foster is, I am. I think the town needs to send a separate letter. So here we are. We have individual interpretations on what constitutes public safety. And we have situations, those trucks coming into our community in that amount. The only way I can describe it to you is that when you have that kind of activity in your community, that's like laying siege to a community. And if you think I'm overreacting, just think about it. Those were massive, massive trucks full of soil coming up Ontario Street. There was absolutely nothing that anybody on that street could possibly have done if anyone was going to be injured. So, Madam Chairman, my tolerance level on any of these lightweight solutions is non-existent. And I think that I do not believe that our constituents are overreacting. They absolutely are not overreacting, and we need to really tune into what's happening and do everything we possibly can to get this turned around. So the last is monitoring changes when they're implemented, part of the monitoring work. Well, let's start with just bringing this report to the committee, Madam Chair, every 2 or 3 months, because this is the first we've seen it since 2019. I think that's correct. If I'm wrong, my apologies to Mr. Graham, but this has been an entire year. I don't accept these solutions. I don't think any of us should, and we can do better. So I certainly hope that others feel as passionate about this as I do, and as passionate as Mr. Walter's going to feel when he starts working with us on this, because he's usually very, very dedicated when he takes on a task. So thank you very much, Madam Chair. I certainly look forward to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well said. Is there anybody else that wants to speak to this report? Seeing none.
Sorry, Chair Rajima. I see Councillor Pachariva.
Okay, Councillor Pachariva, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman Shima. I would like to echo the mayor's comments. It was pretty disheartening to, have Carolyn Real from the region in, and we talked about establishing a community safety zone on Mountain Street. And we were there at the launch at 20 Valley School for the safety zone last year and told it would be next. And when the list comes out of 10 municipal, 10 new community safety zones all around us. So you know what? It's disheartening. You put this stuff on paper and it doesn't get acted upon. So I appreciate your due diligence, your worship, and having this on the radar where we see it every 3 months. We need to bang the drum. We need to jump up and down. And we need to say, okay, we're over here. Don't forget about us. Because it's easy to be done, just to be pushed aside and well, we'll get to it when we get to it. And we won't stand for it. So thank you. I look forward to these regular updates and getting the community safety zones and getting all these issues addressed.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. I don't see anybody else's hands up. So there being no further discussion, I have a motion moved by Councillor McPherson to receive and file truck safety update report PW 1620 as information. I will now ask the clerk to call the vote.
Thank you, Chair Rajima. First off, Councillor Bernay is absent for this vote, so I'll note that. Please unmute your mics. Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Mikulik,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes?
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton.
Yes.
Thank you, and that motion is carried.
Okay, so that concludes the Community Services and Infrastructure Committee agenda. Next on the item is confidential items. Next on the agenda is confidential items. We don't have any. Committee remarks. Do we have any committee remarks? Mayor Easton, your hand is up. I don't know if that's from before or if you have a committee remark.
I
now.
have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just checking to make sure that the museum architect, Mr. Paul Sapunzi, has been scheduled and is committed to the next meeting.
Okay, so Director McKay, can I filter that question through to Director McKay?
Through you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I think I was tasked with taking this on, but Shannon can definitely chime in. I will connect with our clerk to make sure that that has been scheduled and is on our next committee agenda. But I don't know if Ms. McKay has anything further to add.
Okay, thank you. Does that help, Madam Mayor?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Are there any other committee remarks? I do have a question. I just can't remember what it is, to be honest. Oh, guess I'm not going to ask it. I can't remember. So there being no further business, I call this meeting adjourned at 10:39 p.m.